Let's not get anything wrong here. I love 99% of the designs in Pokemon. There are so many things to love about so many Pokemon and their trainers, but every once in a while, in the sea of constant artistic output, some things just don't really get polished. It's understandable. I imagine the design team at Game Freak is always on a tight deadline, but sometimes I just don't really understand how some of these things happen. I'll get to that in a bit, but before I launch into a torrent of unrestrained art critique, I ought to talk about some of the good designs as well, because there are a lot of them and it's only fair that I look at both sides. But I'm not going to be pulling any punches later on. Regardless, without further ado, here are some of the biggest successes and failures of designs in Pokemon. Also, this video is going to be focusing on just Sword and Shield, since looking at the whole franchise at once would just be too big of an endeavor. Could you imagine trying to go over every Pokemon in one video? But anyway, Lulu.
But it's literally just a sheep!
This is true, but it's a really well-designed sheep. Lulu is circles. So many circles. And that's a really smart decision. According to the principles of shape design, squares are stable, triangles are dynamic, and circles are approachable. Lulu leans heavily into this. Its entire body is a circle, with tiny circles just thrown all over it like a violent explosion of adorableness. Circles are what make Lulu so loved by everyone. A little too loved if you ask me. Life tip, don't ever Google a Pokemon and scroll down on the images. It's not just circles that make Lulu great though, although that is a major factor. Maybe I should try the circle approach. Oh, that's disgusting, never mind. But anyway, the darker tone in the face and hooves provide great contrast to the pure white of its wool. This naturally attracts the eye, particularly to the face, which has a giant eye for extra cute factor. The yellow ring and white iris help to further create contrast and draw emphasis. But if Lulu was just white and dark brown, it would look kinda plain, wouldn't it? So the design team went ahead and just threw in a bit of accent color to really make the design pop. And if you want to go even deeper into the rabbit hole of art analysis, there's always color theory. This is the part of the video where I break out the corkboard and red string. The choice of pink and yellow are the most inviting colors possible. Pink can represent friendliness, approachability, and friendship. This tells me that Lulu's the kind of Pokemon to wait for you at the bus stop after a long day. Lulu's the kind of Pokemon to bring you a blanket when you fall asleep on the couch. And Lulu's the kind of Pokemon that lets you softly cry into its wool just to let it all out. I'm not projecting, you're projecting. Yellow can symbolize happiness, optimism, and other antonyms of my current mental state. This all ties cohesively together to create a really great design that's clearly a fan favorite. Like, you just don't get this kind of community response from Impotent. Which, now that I've mentioned him, can we talk about Impotent? I don't think I've ever seen a positive reaction to this Pokemon. It's not even listed on the official Sword and Shield website, which is kind of funny. Even they know it's not exactly a crowd pleaser. Impotent just seems really confused on what it's trying to be. The big circular head and pastel color scheme suggest to me that I'm supposed to find Impotent cute? But then you get to the face and it's just again, big circular eyes leaning into the cute, but then you get these tiny little pupils and this glare like it wants to stab me repeatedly in the chest cavity or make a very lucrative business deal. But then you get to the mouth and it's just a completely different emotion. This is all mischievous and impish, which would work really well if it weren't for those eyes. The nose is just really awkward as well, as from a lot of camera angles it just kind of blends into the rest of the face. By the way, did you know that Impotent has wings? Its head is so massive that from the front you can't see them. Silhouette-wise, Impotent almost works. Its ears make horns, which is really nice, but then you get to the body and the posing, and it's just a gangly mess. There's nothing interesting going on past the head either, it's just a solid pink stick figure. It's just not committed to any one idea of what it wants to be, so it ends up failing at all of them, like a college student who switches majors every year because they have no sense of self-identity from being overworked and pushed to being the very best with no thought taken of them being an actual person. That's Impotent. He has $200,000 in student debt and a bachelor's in fine arts. He is not okay. I should move on. He has suffered enough. Let's jump to the human designs now, leading with what I think is one of the best Sword and Shield has to offer. Marnie. You can tell from the care that was put into her animations that the devs really care about this character. Look at that smear frame. It swoops. It swoops! Her design shows that attention to detail and care as well. It strikes a balance between all of its elements exceedingly well. Plus, it manages to avoid placing Marnie in any one preconceived stereotype, which helps keep her design memorable and unique. She isn't an edgelord, but she's not gonna go skipping through a field either. There's a lot of cohesion in the color palette as well, with only 6 base colors. I especially like the choice of the accent color red. It's fairly dark, so it doesn't jump out right away, but it balances out all the grays and cool colors from her leather jacket. Where does the leather come from? Do I want to know? And the metal bits. They're sentient beings made of metal in the Pokemon universe. There's a whole bundle of confusing ethics in that jacket right there. Peta, take notes. I want to laugh at your tweets later. Anyway, the red gets extra points for being complimentary to her green eyes. Before anyone argues with me that they're blue, they are technically green. I checked. Please don't yell at me about Marnie, there's enough of that already. The goth aesthetic and the pastel dress easily could have clashed, but by managing the saturation of the other colors in the design, it manages to create a nice contrast without clashing. The metal bits in her jacket help to break up large chunks of pure black and help characterize her as well. My main critique would be just how stiff the posing is in her art. Like, the line of action here is almost a straight vertical line. She looks like she's taking in groceries, not really readying herself for a battle. But that's a small detail. Overall, it's still fantastic. You just gotta appreciate the limited color scheme and coherent aesthetic. It rules. Man, I can't wait to look at the next design. Oh no. There's a lot to unpack here. Like, a lot. I have a lot of opinions on this. Let's start with what I like. Okay, let's move on to the next section. This is Accordions, not of ideas. I'll start with the face. This is actually the part that I like the most. His hair is unique, the golden yellow eyes are cool, he looks confident, which is good considering he's the champion. Facial hair is kinda off, but I'll give that a pass for now. But then we zoom out just a little bit. Okay, he's kind of got a casual thing going on with the baseball cap. The black and gold are carried through. That's nice since yellow and purple are complementary. But then we get to the bust level, and it just falls apart. The t-shirt kind of makes sense with the baseball cap, but the red and blue just clash with absolutely everything else. And the stripes just add way too much visual information. It's wholly unnecessary and distracting. And then there's the cape. Cool for the silhouette, absolutely eviscerates the remaining cohesion of the design. It adds this huge splash of red that clashes with everything. Its pattern makes the whole thing way too busy, and the back is absolutely plastered with logos. And it goes completely against the casual attire he had going with the cap and t-shirt. Not to mention, it's a completely different red from the logo on the shirt, and the yellow trim is a different yellow from the rest of the yellow. But I still feel like this could work. Rework some of the colors, remove the patterns, and try to use the cape to make the torso pop, and it could work. I still don't like it, but it's manageable. As for the bracelet and gloves, it's a part of the league uniform, so while I think it's too busy, we can keep it. But then we zoom out more. Excuse me, what? It looks like a completely different design, save for the same gold yellow, but I can literally swap his lower half with other characters and it looks just as cohesive. I'm not even the first person to do this. It was a small meme when he first came out. The white is just too sudden and too much. His whole lower half just blends together. The shoes are alright, those kind of match with the whole casual aesthetic he kinda had going, but where is all this sports gear coming from? He's wearing 2 uniforms at once. I imagine that Leon gets dressed every day, first with the leggings, then the booty shorts, then the t-shirt, then the cape, then the hat, then the gloves and shoes, looks in the mirror and goes, "Oh yeah, I'm the coolest." You wanna know how he's never lost an official battle? Because his opponent couldn't pay attention with this train wreck of style berating their eyes from across the arena. I think I actually figured out why he's dressed this way. Strategy. Okay, stay with me on this. In World War I, British Marine artist Norman Wilkinson invented dazzle camouflage. The idea was to paint ships with giant clashing colors and patterns to such an extreme extent that the enemy couldn't tell what kind of ship it was or what it was armed with. Leon is doing the exact same thing. The checkerboard, the stripes, clashing colors, the weird shapes. It's all so that his enemy is so confused with what they're facing that by the time they realize they're talking to a person, they've already lost. Leon isn't a fashionless dolt. He is a strategist. Every last pattern is perfectly picked to perplex the player. Every color is carefully considered to cunningly confuse the competition. These are tactical booty shorts! Leon rules Galler with an iron grip and an avant-garde wardrobe, but he still looks ridiculous. I can't in good conscience agree with this. I'll give him one thing. He's nothing if not distinct. Even if Leon's outfit is an egregious sin against humanity, I still enjoy lots of Sword and Shield's designs. And let's be honest, I may have been a tad harsh. It's still an amazing feat how many great designs come out of every generation, and Sword and Shield are no exception. Leon will still haunt my dreams though. Overall though, Pokemon's design sense and art style have changed a lot over the years in really interesting ways, so let me know in the comments if you want to see more videos about their designs. While you're down there, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it because I'm trying to make these videos every 2 weeks and your support means so much to me. Honestly, the response to the last video was amazing and I am so thankful, especially to Lucy, but also to all of you for believing in me. I'll see you in 2 weeks with another video. Thanks for watching and I can now stop shilling my channel.